Chop chop, get out of bed, mate. You're a month late to your ranking. What? I know you've been on the lash a lot this month, but come on, get filming. Filming? Do I have to explain everything to you? Record your ranking of the last year's films you watched for YouTube. Mate, I gave that up 2 years ago. You can just stop talking to yourself if you start. Hello and welcome to my personal ranking of every film released in 2023 that I watched. I watched 18 films and 3 documentaries released in 2023. If Letterboxd counts it, I count it. I, however, will not be including documentaries in this ranking. Okay, let's start.
Boyfriend 2, and then we'll have a joining Lost in Tribeca in Taylor Swift's building. Yeah.
Stacey and Lydia are BFFs who've always dreamed about having epic bar mitzvahs, but things start to go comically awry when a popular boy in middle school drama threatens their friendship and rite of passage. For last place, I surprisingly didn't have much to say about this film, other than I really disliked it. I've seen far worse films, don't get me wrong. However, based on prior clips and the fact that Idina Menzel was going to be in it, I was excited, but it just didn't reach my expectations. It fell flat and it was just your basic teen flick. Granted, I'm not the target audience. I didn't like it, but I feel if you're a girl aged 10 to 14, you'd probably love it.
You moved into the house of death? Everyone says it's haunted.
After Kevin finds a ghost named Ernest haunting his new home, he becomes an overnight social media sensation. But when Kevin and Ernest go rogue to investigate the mystery of the letters past, they become targets of the CIA. Interesting idea and plot, and it shows a decent parody of social media and exploitation. It's such a shame that it's just a bit boring. It was incredibly drawn out at parts, and I found myself not particularly caring about the backstory of the ghost, which is arguably the most intriguing part about the film. I will say, despite it lacking in story, it made up for with the acting.
We could change that.
Wow, look at the time.
The steady boyfriend, the one who got away, the charming rock star. Who will Cammy choose? In this interactive rom-com, her love life is in your hands. Honestly, the idea of this film was excellent. I loved how interactive it was, and it was so fun finding each of the different endings. However, due to the nature of it being a choose-your-own adventure, I found that it lacked in story and character, which, fair enough, it did need to be simple. I think it's a great expansion on the choose-your-own adventure films, which create a fun viewing experience.
Date is in quotes. Gotta be a joke, right?
On the brink of losing her childhood home, Maddie discovers an intriguing job listing. Wealthy helicopter parents looking for someone to date their son, Percy, before he leaves for college. To her surprise, Maddie soon discovers the awkward Percy is no sure thing. I'd just like to clarify before I begin that this film stated on the little letterbox in caps thing, "This is not a love story," and that is 100% true and then some. The film is incredibly weird and creepy due to the age difference between Maddie and Percy and just how awful the parents are for this. Maddie's actions and situations are a totally different topic. I don't have time to talk about it in this video. Hey, editing Maisie here. I made it seem like Maddie was blameless in the whole thing by what I said and not discussing it in the video. I just wanted to say I know for a fact she's not blameless in this whole thing, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just wanted to add this in so it didn't feel like I wasn't commenting it because I just didn't explain myself correctly. The film has some excellent moments in comedy and emotional content, but it's just a bit fucking weird.
7 years traveling the world perfecting my craft.
Willy Wonka, chock full of ideas and determined to change the world one delectable bite at a time, is proof that the best things in life begin with the dream. And if you're lucky enough to meet Willy Wonka, anything is possible. I'm gonna be honest, guys, I didn't think Wonka would be this low on the list. I mean, it has Olivia Colman as the musical theatre wench, and I liked every character, especially the antagonists, except Wonka. Don't get me wrong, Timothy acts the role immensely well and does an incredible service to Gene Wilder, but I just don't like Willy Wonka. The guy just irritates me. And I have seen the original film and the stage play, so I can safely say, just don't like Willy Wonka. However, I will say, despite my dislike of the title character, the production value is amazing, and it was incredibly entertaining reading the credits and knowing the majority of the credited dancers and named minor cast.
Got everything you want right here.
You can't make me stay here.
A band of fearless chickens flock together to save poultry kind from an unsettling new threat. a nearby farm that's cooking up something suspicious. As a Brit, you would think this Aardman animation sequel would be higher if it wasn't for the fact that it dragged at parts. However, once it got into it, I found it incredibly enjoyable and entertaining to watch. One of my favourite bits was when the Scouse chicken lost her accent when she'd been brainwashed. It was a silly touch, but I loved it. I also think the art of claymation is one of a kind and beautiful. To top it all off, the cast did amazing voice performances which captured the pure absurdity of the story perfectly. All in all, it was an excellent sequel to the original work.
I'd like to report a crime that hasn't happened yet. Have you seen the movie Back to the Future?
When the infamous Sweet 16 killer returns 35 years after his first murder spree to claim another victim, 17-year-old Jamie accidentally travels back in time to 1987, determined to stop the killer before he can start. Back to the Future meets cheesy slasher. As a fan of the horror genre, I loved this. It was simple and fun. My favourite element was when the fact that Lauren had been waiting for 35 years to discover who won out of Chris and Jamie in the fight. And after that, she updated Jamie on everything new that had happened in their universe. It was lovely. I did like how the original killer Doug's motivation intertwined with Chris's, however it felt a little thrown together at the end. There was no reason to suspect Doug other than the fact he was an outcast until the big reveal explanation at the end. On the contrary, Chris's involvement was all but handed to us. I loved his motivation, but it was so obvious he was the killer after he started chatting about how he was talking to Pam about his popular podcast. All in all, it was a simple and easy watch, and I enjoyed it. I know this film's praise seems incredibly positive, so you'd think it should be higher, but I feel its simplicity was a hindrance at points. There was little to no mystery despite the whodunit, which is why I feel they had to pull something out their arse for the motive.
You've done some pretty stupid things in your day, but this...
Takes the cake?
After an altercation between Alex, the president's son, and Britain's Prince Henry, a royal event becomes tabloid fodder. The long-running feud now threatens to drive a wedge in US and British relations. When the rivals are forced into a staged truce, their icy relationship begins to thaw, and the friction between them sparks something deeper than they ever expected. Deep is one way to put it. Bad sex jokes aside, I just liked the film and it introduced me to a new book to read and compare to. For a film so high up, you would think I'd have a deeper criticism of it, but I just liked the film and I think that's cool. So it's 11th.
And yum. Your mom owes me 80 grand. When you have it, you'll get your dog back.
A brilliant but tightly wound, game show-obsessed young woman, Anne, and her estranged train wreck of a sister must work together to help cover their mother's gambling debts. When Anne's beloved dog is kidnapped, they set out on a wild cross-country trek to get the cash the only way they know how, by turning Anne into a bona fide game show champion. Honestly, I turned on this film whilst I was ill looking for an easy watch, and I was pleasantly surprised. Awkwafina and Sandra Oh do an amazing job as opposite sisters, Anne and Jenny. I loved Sandra Oh so much in this. She was so fun and she served so hard. I fear if they let her slay anymore, it would have ended the world. I'm just saying. It was so silly and yet real at the same time. Once again, I just really liked the film. There was just something missing. And at this point, the film's just becoming so incredibly difficult to rank.
That's happening, isn't it?
The story of J. Robert Oppenheimer's role in the development of the atomic bomb during World War II. People are gonna get annoyed by this one. Woo! Okay, anyways. I loved it in the cinema, and then I loved it when I rewatched it with my mate. However, that being said, the only reason it's so low is that it's not my typical genre. That being said, incredible acting performances all around, and the sound design, I couldn't give it enough praise. It was phenomenal. My favourite moments were when the bomb went off and it was just silence, as prior to that the entire film had been underscored. This film is two of my favourite film moments of the year. The end line, and as stated previously, the bomb. I just fear that it's my dislike of the genre and lack of knowledge about the political and significance of the story that it held it back on my list. I saw it for the Barbenheimer meme and I am so bloody glad I did.
Oh my god, okay.
While working underground to fix a water main, Brooklyn plumbers and brothers Mario and Luigi are transported down a mysterious pipe and wander into a magical new world. But when the brothers are separated, Mario embarks on an epic quest to find Luigi. If the last listing irritated you, click off. I don't care. I loved it. I loved the Mario movie. Chris Pratt wasn't even that bad in the film, especially when he was noshing on those tasty blue hedgehog lips. Huh? Wrong film. Oh, shit. What? So, anyways, as I was saying, Super Mario Bros. Movie. It was just a good animated movie. You've got to learn to go into films like this, not looking for a cinematic masterpiece, but a silly, family-friendly film. So I did, and I had a good time. I've watched some animated films expecting a good time and not enjoyed them, and I've watched animated films going into them to make fun of them with friends, not focusing on the film. However, this one I watched in my room alone in the dark. So, definitely focused.
From District 12, Lucy Gray Baird.
64 years before he becomes the tyrannical president of Panem, Coriolanus Snow sees a chance for change in fortunes when he mentors Lucy Gray Baird, the female tribute from District 12. Snow always lands on top. Does he know? Book Talk sure hopes so. Me and my friends saw this in the cinema and fell in love. The performances from the whole cast were just spectacular. Props to the casting team. I feel very passionately about how good the scenes with Reaper are. He stole it for me. I love the dramatic irony. And Rachel Zegler is amazing, and Tom does an impeccable job as Coriolanus. One thing we can take from this is, never trust a buzz cut.
Every damn day. My titties are tenderized.
When the biggest losers at Hatchetfield High unwittingly complete an evil ritual, they unleash an all-powerful angry spirit with a grudge against all nerds. That's when Stephanie Laughter, Grace Chastity, and a cast of social rejects must fight to save themselves and nerdy prudes everywhere. Okay. Technically, this shouldn't count, as it was performed live by Starkid. However, the recorded show was released to the public in 2023, so I think we can get a bit of leeway here. Okay. I'm fully obsessed with this show. I could talk about it for hours, but I'll keep it short and sweet. The whole cast does a phenomenal job of this. And unironically, it's a brilliant representation of Gen Z. One of the first lyrics is genuinely, "It's hell on earth, you know. I'm tweeting all about it." And to be fair, the only criticism I have of it is the death of Ruth. It was too comical. I get that it's a comedy and all, and the whole idea is a bit silly, but it works in other sad moments so well. So Ruth's death just ruined the vibe a bit for me. Okay, a short note before I move on to the final five. They're genuinely going to be rated predominantly on sheer enjoyment at the cinema and nostalgia. There's going to be a lot of personal thoughts and feelings in these five, and as a result they have little to no criticism or reasoning, other than I liked blank more. Most of them are located here due to sheer amount of personal feelings and outward factors, hence why this is my list, not yours. Now, onto the list of films that I wanted to see last year, but I ran out of time and or money, so are on my list for this year. Bottoms: Joyride, How to Have Sex, Cocaine Bear, and Elemental. And finally, onto my top 5 favourite films of the year, out of films that came out this year that I saw. Makes sense in my head.
Hey, Barbie. Can I come to your house tonight?
Sure.
Barbie and Ken are having the time of their lives in the colourful and seemingly perfect world of Barbie Land. However, when they get a chance to go to the real world, they soon discover the joys and perils of living amongst humans. I love Barbie. Out of the Barbenheimer meme, I definitely prefer Barbie. It's incredibly well done, and the attention to detail in it is probably my favourite bit. Another thing I liked is that it was a gateway to feminism whilst being appropriate for the younger viewers. Because it's Barbie. Obviously kids are going to go see it. So they just did it so well. I'm going to shut up before I waffle. Then can we just talk about America Ferrera for a second though? She ate the monologue up, man! And it just resonated so much with me as I myself have experienced it at different stages of my life. And yeah, it's just a really well written and well performed monologue. Now, why is it 5th, you may ask? And I don't have an answer other than I like the rest more. I don't know.
They shut it down years ago. The owner's just not ready to let it go yet.
Recently fired and desperate for work, a troubled young man named Mike agrees to take a position as a night security guard at an abandoned themed restaurant, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. But he soon discovers nothing at Freddy's is what it seems. Look, I've been a fan of the games since they were released, and I've been following the development of the film since the conception, and it lived up to my expectations by a lot. Me and my friend were alone in the cinema for the viewing, and holy shit, it made an already great film greater. We are both right film nerds, so we just got to geek out. It was so fun. It was funny in all the right places, and while some bits at first are weird as hell, looking back at it are so well done. Vanessa is so complex, and when they built a fort with Abby, it was the loveliest moment. The way the animatronics were done and characterised for screen was perfect.
Oh, what a beautiful...
After the indomitable and beloved founder of the scrappy theatre camp in upstate New York falls into a coma, their eccentric staff must band together with her clueless crypto bro son to keep the thespian paradise afloat. Okay, this film is a mockumentary about theatre kids, done so bloody well. The cast is stacked with Evan Hansons and kids who just love the cast. And I just need to direct you to one thing that will tell you all you need to know about this placement. Yeah.
All the men to cheat. You picked John Kramer?
John Kramer travels to Mexico for a risky and experimental procedure in hopes of a medical cure for his cancer. Only to discover the entire operation is a scam to defraud the most vulnerable. With a newfound purpose, the infamous serial killer returns to his work, turning the tables on the con artist in his signature visceral way through devious, deranged and ingenious traps. This film had me staying up till 4 in the morning for a trailer drop, and it had the entirety of Saw Twitter riled up over Epic Bad Luck by Mark Hoffman. I loved it. As a fan of the series since I discovered its existence aged 13 via the Dead Meat YouTube channel, it was everything I hoped for and more. The recurring motif of hope was just so incredibly done, with Valentina, Matteo and Gabriella almost surviving but being snubbed at the very last second. The whole thing had me gripping my seat and curling my toes in sheer excitement. It's genuinely the best Saw film since Saw. It even featured the famous bathroom we all know and love. I really enjoyed Kevin Gutter's revival of the series after 2 not-so-great sequels.
I don't think I'll ever go home again.
Well, why don't you come home with me? Come to Saltburn.
Struggling to find his place at university, student Oliver Quick finds himself drawn into the world of the charming and aristocratic Felix Catton, who invites him to Saltburn, his eccentric family's sprawling estate, for a summer to never be forgotten. What is there not to say about this film? It was released at the tail end of last year, and my god, it is good. I have a full in-depth look at it in the works, but for now here's a nice little summary of it as to why it's my number 1 of the year. Firstly, it subverted all of my expectations. The trailer was cleverly tricky and made it appear to have Oliver be the normal one and he would have to escape the weird family along the lines of Ready or Not, but it was the opposite. And for the trailer, it was the best choice possible. It unknowingly hints at Oliver's deception in the most perfect way. Secondly, I just really love how incredible it is stylistically, and finally, for this video at least, I just really loved how unapologetically weird it is. It is the biggest love letter to Tumblr known to man. My god. I genuinely wasn't expecting it to beat out Saw X for my top film of the year due to my sheer attachment to the film franchise, but holy shit, I am so glad it did. I am well and truly obsessed. To conclude, thank you all for watching. If you got this far, this video was incredibly difficult to make because last year was such a great year for films that I like. I thank you all for sticking around. If you like this, hit the subscribe button for more, and I'll see you next time. Bye!